We are here now with legendary porn star Nina Hartley. Now, Nina, whenever they talk about porn actors, they just say porn star because like people are used to it, but they're not porn stars. Nina is a star. Okay, I know. I watched some of your earlier work.
In the big hair days?
Oh yeah, loved it. Of course, she's also the author of Guide to Total Sex. Her not safe for work website is nina.com. And we want to talk a little bit about your career, how you got to where you are. If you don't know Nina, she was known as and is known as the best ass in the business, which is awesome. Lesbian scenes are a specialty. I'm also familiar with that work, as well as ass work, because you have the best ass in the business. Okay, so we'll get to that in a second as well. So let's start from the beginning. First of all, it's awesome to have you here.
Thank you for having me after I blew it last time and left you here with your holding your hat in the wind.
God bless. All's forgiven. So, and Nina's been on The Point with us before on the TYT Network. So, and like I said, I enjoyed your work in the past when I was a teenager, and I had
Excellent.
And I had discovered porn for the first time and realized how much I love this country. So talk to me. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Berkeley, California. Graduated high school in 1977. So my formative years were in the middle of the civil rights movement, the anti-war movement, the beginning of the gay rights movement, the beginning of the women's rights movement, the beginning of the sexual revolution, the finding yourself, the human potential movement. My parents were in the thick of it.
Yeah, I heard your parents were communists.
Yes, my father was blacklisted in 1957,
Really?
and that sort of threw the family into a tailspin. And by 1969, after trying all the different therapeutic modalities that the 60s had to offer, they discovered Zen Buddhism, and it's still sitting meditation to this day. So it really worked for them.
So Buddha bless, it worked.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so grateful because they could have gotten into Scientology or Est or Hare Krishnas, because those were all really big at the time.
Right.
I'm so grateful they chose an actual established religion with thousands of years behind it, and more importantly, one that you cannot proselytize.
Oh, that's, again, thank God for that, or thank Buddha for that. So are you a Buddhist?
I call myself a quasi-neo-pagan. I'm Jewish by heritage, but not religious, not raised religiously. But in terms of Buddhism, it's emphasis on personal responsibility, compassionate awareness, mindfulness. Absolutely, I try to use those things in my day-to-day life for my own personal sanity and in my work as a sex educator, sexual facilitator, because we can all need compassion. So I don't chant, I don't have an altar, but Buddhist philosophy absolutely infuses everything I do.
So Fox News would love you. Your parents are communist, you're an atheist / practicing Buddhism of some sort just for the fun of it, and porn star. Oh!
It would break their little heads. They would just go boom, they'd pop.
I take it you're not a big watcher of Fox News.
I'm not a big watcher of Fox News. I do think it is a propaganda wing of the Republican Party. And once I saw that study that said people who watch Fox News know less than people who don't watch any news at all, that didn't surprise me, and it blew my mind and didn't surprise me at the same time. It's like I figured.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your career. So you studied nursing first, right?
Yes. My introduction to feminism was around the early natural birth movement of the late 60s and early 70s, about helping women have the positive experience. Something had been medicalized by doctors. Women were going to take it back. And so I love the human body. I was already interested in biology. I didn't have the words yet, bisexual or queer, but I knew that I wasn't like other kids. And so the whole thing about it just seemed fascinating to me. And I wanted to be a nurse midwife. So I went to nursing school to become a nurse midwife. But one of my part-time jobs was as a nude dancer in San Francisco, because I could earn as much in one night as I could if I tried to waitress 5 nights. And nursing school is really you really have to hit the books. It's really, I did trying to work 5 days a week and go to school was not possible.
So let's break it down one by one. First of all, you're still a nurse, right? I mean, you can...
I'm not. My license is out of date. I could not tomorrow go and apply for a job.
Okay, but you did go through the school.
I got my
finished.
license, I got my diploma,
Right.
I finally got it out of storage, and so I have my nursing school diploma, passed the licensing test in the first pass, but...
So when you were a nurse, were you a naughty nurse?
No, but I would tell you once, first, this was the 80s, I had a bad perm, but even then, when I was doing nursing in the hospital, and you're doing a bed bath on an older gentleman, I knew that, how great would it make him feel if I could just have the bed bath with a happy ending, and how stupid it was that if I was caught, I'd be so kicked out of the program, I would never get to chance to nurse. So I never did that, but I thought, how stupid is it that as part of whole body wellness, that this little part of the body, I have to stay away from that. It never made sense to me, because sexual pleasure is a great benefit to mental and emotional and physical health. And I just didn't like the fact that, well, that's not professional. It never made sense to me.
You're one of the greatest people I've ever met.
Oh, thank you.
Because, no, seriously.
Next to your wife.
Okay, yeah, no, and I'll tell you why. Because who looks at a person who's in a hospital already, who's older, and thinks, I can make that guy happy by giving him a happy ending? I mean, who's that magnanimous? I mean, it's not like you were going to get any big, thrill out of it.
But I do get a thrill out of it. Even after 30 years, when someone lets me get to their bitch, it's like, really? For me? That's why I know I'm in the right job. I still like the basic aspect of what it is I do, which is getting with a person body to body and seeing what fun we have. And the reason I can do this so well and not be emotionally upset or on drugs is that my sexuality does not require that I have my romance and sex together always. I do have romance and sex with my husband, and it's as romantic and mushy and private and personal as anything any private people do. So when my husband and I are together, that's personal. You don't get to see that. But every other sexual thing that I do is potentially out there for public consumption, because I have sex for many different reasons, one of which is love and romance and bonding and intimacy. And the rest of it is education, talking, showing, inspiring people at home to,
right.
Whatever.
Do what they do.
Do what they do. Do what they do.
Right.
And
so when did you first know you were into girls?
Certainly by 12.
Really? As early as 12?
At 12, because, if you talk to any of your friends who are gay, most of them knew it by first or second grade. But I knew by 12 that boobs were interesting to me. Mm-hmm. I knew I wasn't allowed to ask about it, look at them, ask to touch them or anything like that, but interesting. And then by 14, I discovered the word bisexual and thought, oh, that's me. And I'm so grateful that I wasn't raised in the church, because I never, for 1 minute, ever felt I was going to go to hell or as damned or a sinner. Right. I never felt guilt about it. I just realized, I have to find other people like myself.
And so did you first hook up with a guy or a girl?
18 was a good year for me. The year I had my first boy-girl experience and my first girl-girl experience. And a couple years later, when I orchestrated my first threesome experience, I used them. My first threesome, that was a disaster.
How could that go wrong? How could that possibly go wrong?
Okay, well, let me count the ways. First, I was too young and immature. The base relationship of me and my boyfriend wasn't strong, healthy, sexually satisfying. It was an unhealthy relationship, and I didn't know that. I didn't understand that the algorithm that goes from fantasy, where everything's fine and happy and bouncy and no one's hurt, to actual your feelings, her feelings, my feelings, actual thing, there's a big step. The algorithm is many, many pages of code long, and I didn't know how to do that.
So it was the emotions that went awry.
Yes, and the joke is, the LSD didn't help.
Oh, okay.
But it didn't hurt either. It was going to be bad no matter what. And what the psychedelics allowed me to do was I wasn't able to ignore the fact that it was something was going wrong, as opposed to if I hadn't, I would have said, oh, it's fine. I would have pushed through it. And
like, what went wrong? Like, did he have sex with her too long?
No.
Did it seem like he liked her too much?
Again, going back to the base relationship not being healthy, his and my lovemaking had fallen off the wayside, and we were not currently intimate. The sex was not good. And so to see him touch her in a way that he hadn't touched me in months, it was jealous, pure out and out jealousy.
Yeah.
But it was like, I set it up. I wanted it. I fantasized about it, and I was having the problem. So clearly I needed to work on my emotional maturity to figure out there's things that need to stay in your head. And then if you want to make them real, learn how to negotiate, find the right partners, talk about it.
But you wound up negotiating it brilliantly, because you wound up getting married, and you guys had when you were married, you had
I had a three-way marriage. So yes, I did learn how to negotiate it brilliantly. But first, I had to recognize that you had to negotiate it. I thought, because if you read Penthouse Letters, I can't believe it happened to me, and it always happens so effortlessly. It's always so fun, and no one's ever hurt or angry. In real life, people have feelings, and And they have different boundaries and what they think is sexy, and you have to talk about it. And the biggest hurt our culture does about sex is that, it could just happen. It just happened. And maybe sex can be good if it just happens, but for consistently quality experience, it takes some planning and discussion. In the moment, it's just happening, but you set everything up so it can be spontaneous.
Okay, so I know I'm jumping around here, but when you're married and it's a three-way marriage, who found the other woman? Did you find her? Did your husband find her?
He was already with her. And one of the things I liked about him, he was the first person I'd met who was openly non-monogamous and bragged about the fact that he had playmates, she had playmates, and it was fine. And it's like, I want in that relationship. What I did not understand was one of the reasons he was so open with her is he had fallen out of love with her and was no longer super attracted to her. So when he found me, I was going, oh boy, I get to be free like her. He's going, I have her, I can keep her. And because I didn't know how to talk about it, it was a very rocky relationship for a long time, for 20 years, because I didn't understand.
But you didn't mind him having sex with her?
No, I never minded that. I like being around, even if I'm not having it, I like being in the room with it. I like hearing people having sex. I like feeling the bed moving underneath me. I don't know why I'm that way. No one else in my family is like that. But that part never ever bothered me. And I never wanted to be anyone's everything, and I don't want to be anyone's everything. So I don't.
That's an interesting concept.
And because that, for me, if and my ex was like that, he wanted me to be everything. It's like, stop suffocating me.
It's too restrictive, right?
For me, other people, that's exactly what they want. They want to be your everything, and for me, it was never right. And I never wanted you to be my everything. It's like, you can't be my everything.
But were you working in porn at the time?
No, I wasn't. I was a nursing student. So I met them in 1980. I started dancing in 82 and movies in 84. So for 2 years, I was a student for 5 days, a dancer for one evening a week, and a student for 5 days.
So how'd you get into dancing? Who suggests that?
Well, this girl from high school who I had the biggest crush on back when we were in 10th grade.
She was so hot.
We never did anything. I thought she was so cute. Oh my God. And she was one of the first young women I knew who was actually having sex. And it's the 70s, so her parents let her have sex with her boyfriend in her bedroom in their house. So it wasn't like, it was just that, and so.
Why did I not live in any of those times? Oh, it was the 70s.
Right.
So your parents would obviously let you have sex with hot girls in the house.
And so fast forward a few years later, I'm on the bus out the Judah streetcar out to San Francisco State, and oh my God, there's Ruby. Hi. And she's saying she's a dancer one day a week at this club. It's like, dancing? Really? Tell me more. And so she told me that there's an amateur night, and you could do amateur night, and you got $50 for showing up, and you got $100 if you won. And so I went home to my then boyfriend before the relationship hadn't gotten horrible yet, and he was excited about the idea of me being a dancer, because one of the things I liked about him is that my desire to be a dancer in movies didn't make him go, oh my gosh, you slut. It was exciting to him as an idea. Just like my first threesome was exciting as an idea, and the execution was horrible. The idea of his girlfriend wanting to be in porn or wanting to be a dancer was hot for him, but in real life he ended up having trouble. But he supported me in the idea of doing amateur night, and so I won. And I was like, this is great, I got a job. This is great.
So I assume you told your parents at some point?
Oh, well, I did not tell them in a very nice way, because while my parents found them when I was 10, that's still that first 10 years of where you have some patterns set up that might not be healthy. And one of those was talking honestly with my parents about certain things. And so I knew my mother would really dislike it. And so I was doing it for me. I wasn't doing it to hurt my parents. I was doing it for me. Right. And so the way they found out about it, I gave an interview in a local paper, and my brother read the interview, and he called my mother and said, have you seen the Sunday supplement? And it wasn't a very nice way to say it. I'm sorry now, I could not have said, Mom, Dad, I have some really important news. You're probably not gonna like it, but just so you know, so you don't have to hear it from a third party, here's what I'm doing. I'm sorry now that I couldn't do that.
Now, did they ever get comfortable with it?
It took them 20 years, but they finally got over it. And this is Buddhism. So
It takes 20 years in Buddhism? I thought they'd meditate and be done with it in the afternoon.
Well, but when I told them they hadn't been doing Buddhism for 20 years, I mean,
okay.
But that's neither here nor there. So what I loved about it was a couple years later is my mother, she still isn't love what I do, but she understands now I'm not hurting myself, I'm not hurting anybody else. And she said, you know what? I realized my problem was you were not doing as I expected, and my expectations are my responsibility.
Oh, I love that.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
Okay, that makes me want to be a Buddhist. That's not bad.
Exactly. So personal responsibility for your feelings. If I've been doing it in order to get at her, she could have said, you know what, I sense that you're doing this is an angry act toward me and I don't like it. But I wasn't doing it. It was an act of self-preservation. I needed to do it.
Right. So that's interesting too, because even a communist Buddhist parent is still upset that their daughter is a stripper, etc. Because like if you listen to Bill O'Reilly, they would celebrate it like, oh, fantastic!
Before she was a communist Buddhist, she was Southern. She was raised in the South. She was born in 1926 and raised in the South. And so it's her generation. No one from that generation is going to be happy. Their child's a sex worker. It's not in her training to be happy about that.
Now let's go back to some other fun stuff. First woman that you were with, or at that point you're both 18?
Yes, and she was an artist, and she was already out as a bisexual person, so she was already really like very arty. And she seduced me, and it was like,
yes,
this is great. And the first time, well, you're a dude and you're like chick, but my boyfriend at the time had beard, and just to be with a person with no hair, it's like, women are soft and they're really nice. This is really great. And we didn't talk a whole lot, and I don't know how well I did, but I've been wanting to perform oral sex on women for years, and so gosh darn it, I was gonna. And
so your first time with a woman, you went downtown.
With women, I'm very much the doer. I have a hard time receiving from women. With women, I'm like a guy that way. It's like, lay down, honey. I'll find something fun to do. And after that first time, I thought, you know what? If I ever get a chance to do this again, I am not leaving until I know she's had an orgasm. And then the second time, it was another friend from high school, and she seduced me. And she had to do everything but hit me in the head with a hammer.
Why? But you were into it. What?
Because not being a guy, I couldn't tell when girls coming on to me. I don't know the girl code, because that's why I like porn. Do you want it or not? And so this whole dance that people have to do, it's like I completely blind to it. And so she finally was in the bathtub and she wiggled it at me. It's like, oh, she's coming on to me. You think? So that time I would, I'm not leaving till I know. I might have been 45 minutes, I was in heaven, and she had a very good orgasm, so good that she was gay for 2 years after that.
Okay, so
I was so proud of myself.
So is it just as easy, or is it harder to give women an orgasm than men?
Generally speaking, it's a little easier to give men orgasms only because men have more masturbatory experience and they're more comfortable with having orgasms. Women, as a general rule, are less encouraged to find out what they like and to do it so they can give feedback because they're waiting for him to do it or whatever. It's a little better now, but certainly back then, absolutely. 98% of men masturbate and the other two are lying. That's the standard joke. So it's that being said, there's variation. Some women I'm with are the sexual fantasy. They're easily multi-orgasmic, and you feel so good. It's like, oh yeah, and you realize at a swing party, it's like she can do it with anybody. It's like, oh, that's her.
Right.
So orgasms have set points. So you ever shot a gun?
Yeah.
Okay, so you have a long pull, a short pull, a 2-pound pull versus a 12-pound pull. So
I'm definitely a 12-pound.
I'm a 12-pound pull. It takes me for freaking ever to have one orgasm, and it's like and the planets have to be aligned. It's a lot of work. And other women are like, ding, ding, they can have orgasms with tight pants on a bumpy road in a car, riding a horse, and those women are very gratifying. They're terribly, you're with them, it's like, hey, I'm really, really good at this. And
No, I remember this one girl in college, she was sliding off the couch. Like, whatever I did, she's gone. It's like, she's falling down like this Niagara Falls. And I walked out of there like I was king of the world.
Absolutely.
I was like, man, I rocked that, right? So
and bless them for existing, because it does so good for your ego. As long as we realize, though, that there's the last person I was with, and then there's you. So yes, all my other experience comes into play, but the secret to good sex is that Buddhist thing of staying in the present moment, being mindful. So I have to be mindful of you. Now, I may have been with other gentlemen with dark hair and brown eyes who are in your age category and all these things, but you're still completely you. And I have to put that aside and pay attention to you and how you're responding to me. And that's how you get to be a good lover. It may, tickle this or hold that, but being able to be present in the moment and really enjoy what you're doing, that makes a person a good lover.
So let's go back to your lesbian seductions. Okay, so the first woman who ever seduced you, how did she do it?
She was pretty blatant. She brought me over to her house, and she'd made a bong out of a coconut. And I hadn't done any drugs. Even in the 70s in Berkeley High School, I was the only one who had not done any drugs. I had never even drunk. I had nothing. This is back when kids were taking acid going to class, and I was like, "You're crazy!" And so she gave me I guess she did a second hit. So she took and then kissed me to give me the hit.
And how'd you feel?
I was scared and excited. It's like, oh my gosh, it's really happening, because I wanted it. I've been dreaming about this day for years, since I first started. I never dreamt of him. I always dreamt of them. I never had a monogamous fantasy in my life. Before I knew the word orgy, I was thinking, rooms full of naked people. Yeah, that sounds great.
God, you're amazing.
So I'm just different. I'm just weird.
No, bless you. I mean, I
I'm
wish
so
more
grateful.
people were like
I'm so grateful that I grew up in the time and place that I did, because if I had been raised in a more religious community or more Midwestern conservative community, I would have come out. I still have wanted the things I wanted, but with the social repression, who knows how the hydraulics would have worked and how it would have come out. Would I have been a serial cheater? Would I have been kicked out of my church? Would I have repressed it and become a moralistic busybody? Who knows where those things go when they don't have the opportunity to come out in a healthy way.
Right. So how do you go from stripping to porn?
Well, I wanted the whole other story, but I snuck into my first adult movie at age 17 and a half. Which is a whole other story. And I had seen I discovered everyone likes Playboy. And back in the day when I was looking at Playboy, the women were more fuller figured. They weren't even showing pubic hair yet, so it was just curvy, voluptuous women with boobs.
Yeah, I understand you're fond of those.
Who isn't?
God bless.
God bless them. My goodness gracious. Yay. Gay, straight, they all love boobs.
Right.
And so I knew I liked looking at pictures of sexy things, and I loved looking at classic art. And then the people I babysat for had a little porno library next to the bed. I really liked those. It was really awesome. And there was a used bookstore downtown that I would go and read in the erotica section. This is really great stuff. And then I would walk back.
They had the youth bookstore.
Used bookstore, not youth, used.
Oh, used, okay.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, man, San Francisco was a lot more liberal than I realized. Okay.
And so between home and school was the Mitchell Brothers Theater in the East Bay, which was a dirty movie theater. And one day I'd read the book, The Autobiography of a Flea, and I wanted to see the movie. It's like reading The Sound of Music and going to see the movie. I wanted to see the movie. And so I went in all by myself. I was wearing bib overalls, flannel shirt, hiking boots, granny glasses. I mean, full on 70s. I wasn't trying to be sexy. I was just like, I want to see it. I want to see this movie.
Were you the first woman that ever walked into that theater?
Probably. I'm thinking, oh gosh, please no one sit near me. Because thinking about and a single female in an adult theater in 1976 was like putting soap in greasy water, and all the men just went whonk. And so I had like 10 seats in all directions, all to myself, and I had the middle of the theater. And during one of the scenes, I've been thinking about sex. I'd never seen a real naked man. I mean, with an erection. I had never actually been with one. I think in India they call it a Shakti put, which is a heart kiss. It just, all of a sudden it's like, that's what I wanted to do. I was a virgin. I had barely kissed a boy. It's like,
you knew you wanted to be a porn actor the minute you saw porn, even before you had sex.
It's like,
that's amazing.
That's for me. Something about sex is performance. And for me, it's like, oh my gosh, what I like about sex is it's all the fun of dating and none of the hassle. I don't have to go home with these people. I don't have to hear about their life story and their mother and the last girlfriend. Oh my God. We come to work. You've already said yes. I've already said yes. I can come up to you and say, okay, what do you hate? What do you like? You don't have to pretend to be here for other reasons. You don't have to pretend that I like you. You don't have to pretend to like me so that I'll go to bed with you. So you don't have to lie. Because I've already said yes. I don't have to be coy. Oh, I'm not really here for the sex, because clearly I'm here for the sex because I'm here in a porno set. And for me, the clarity of that really helped me learn about sex, and more importantly, learn about myself and my own emotions and what did I need in a relationship.
So your first porn movie is in 1984. It's called Educating Nina, right? So tell me about how that went. Who do you go to? How did you?
Well, actually, we had. So my first husband at the time was still supporting my fantasy of being in movies. He thought it was hot fantasy because he thought maybe he could do them too. And I would have been happy to do movies with him if it turned out he was congenitally shy and just his body said, "You do what you want. I'm not joining you." But at the time, we didn't know, and. We ended up meeting with an agent at the McDonald's in Berkeley, and he was so creepy. He was like central casting creepy agent. He was 5'4", 130 pounds, 10 of it hair. So he had a big, the thick Jewish fro, and Harold Adler. He was just a little squirrely guy, and he did something. It's like. And we left there, and I thought, you know what? I guess I don't get to do this, because if I have to go through him, no way, because he just creeped me out. It wasn't like he was doing it in public. It wasn't like a casting couch or anything like that. It was just like, yeesh, ick. And
so did you assume that you had to sleep with him, or
no? I just didn't know. I don't know. And so I thought, okay, I guess I'll just be a dancer, and I don't get to be in movies.
Right.
So a little while later, my then boyfriend, future husband, ran into Juliet Anderson at a supermarket, and he recognized her as having being in the movies. And she was someone who didn't start till she was 39. She was already out of college, and she gave him her card, and we sent her Polaroids, and she was casting her first movie as a director, Educating Nina. And I went and did a reading for her, and she used me. I didn't realize then how rare I was, and it's like man, for her, manna from heaven, because in my business, new is always good. And so I was new. I was pretty enough for porn. I was very unpolished. I hadn't even started shaving my legs yet. I mean, because I learned how to play a girl on TV, like makeup and grooming and hair and shaving, and I didn't do anything like that. I was a Berkeley hippie. Just get naked and bump that. Yeah. So I didn't know anything about being girly or feminine attributes like hair and makeup. But I realize now, oh my gosh, here's someone who's smart, interested, enthusiastic, seeking me out, and she wants to be in a movie, jackpot. And so she put me in the movie Educating Nina, and was my mentor for a couple of years, and did help a lot. And
did she sleep with you?
No, actually, we never had sex off camera. She's primarily into dudes. She was definitely very much I'd say 70-30 heterosexual, and she wasn't into crossing boundaries that way.
Right. That's interesting. So is there a casting couch in porn?
Actually, it turns out there's very little. I tell people the blowjob is the job. It's not the blowjob for some guy to maybe get a callback later. So that part of it, I've never been asked. I've only asked to strip 2 or 3 times, just so they could make sure I have tattoos or a huge scar or anything like that. Right. And after the first couple times, I never even had to do that, because you either want the blonde or you want the brunette or you want the red. So the casting's done differently. Nowadays, with the agencies, you cast by what physical appearance you want the person to have and what they'll do. So I want a petite blonde with natural breasts who will do 3 guys, no anal, whatever. And then you go to the agency websites and find the female who fits that category, and price her out, and then ask her. And then you smart ones, you say to the ladies, who do you want to work with? So I'm gonna hire you for a 3-on-1, no anal. Who are your guys? And you get those guys, and that makes for a better scene. if you let her pick who she's going to be with.
Do you keep in touch with any of the old school folks, like I don't know,
I do.
Arbola, Herschel
Oh my God,
Savage?
I just saw Arbola. I just saw Herschel Savage. Actually, here in LA, there is the Deep Throat Sex Scandal play at the Zephyr Theater on Melrose Avenue, starting the last weekend in January. Just do a search on it, and there are rotating guest spots each weekend. So there's two small spots, the judge and the ticket taker. And so the gimmick is the judge and the ticket takers change out. So Herschel Savage and Rebecca Bardot, for one 4-day run, are going to be the judge and the ticket taker. Then on another day, it's going to be, I think, Bill Maher, Gold, and Amber Lynn. And then on the...
Bill Maher? Bill Maher's a porn star?
No, Bill Maher Gold.
Oh, okay,
Gold. Oh, not Bill Maher. No. He's a porn hound, but he's not a porn star.
Have you ever slept with him?
No, actually, I don't think I'm his type, although I know he likes smart ones. I'd love to be on a show because I find him terribly funny. I'm a big fan, actually, although I hear he's a very irascible in person. I've never met him, actually, even met him. And so the person playing the judge on my weekend is the middle son from the Brady Bunch, Christopher.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, I don't remember his name. But he did a reality show and stuff.
He did? Okay. I don't watch reality TV.
Okay, so do you?
So, but I'm
do you guys ever get together for dinner, like Vanessa Del Rio?
She's in New York. I'm in contact with Vanessa Del Rio, Candida Royale, Amber Lynn, Ginger Lynn, Christy Canyon, Herschel Savage, Richard Pacheco, John Leslie before he died.
Oh, John Leslie died. That's a shame.
It was about 2 years ago, and bless him, it was a heart attack. He didn't even know he was sick. Mm-hmm. So he didn't suffer. He wasn't scared. He wasn't in pain. He keeled over on his keyboard.
And those folks, are they generally happy that they were in adult movies? Are some regretting it?
Mixed bag. One of the things that porn does not do, of course, is set you up with any kind of security for the future. Unless you've been good with your money and paid into Social Security and done it, there's no retirement fund. There's no workers' compensation if you hurt yourself. It is as any entertainment job is, it's terribly, terribly insecure, and there's no old porn folks home. There's no union or guild.
Although that would be fun.
Right. There's no union or guild, because most people it's a transient job, and so if you're not going to be here for your whole career, why would I pay into a fund to take care of old porn stars? Some people have gotten out successfully and married and gone on to other lives. Remember Deidre Holland?
Mm-hmm. A little bit.
She had her time here, but she's from Germany, and so she went home. She married a dentist. She left completely. Has 3 kids, happily married, and so it was something she could leave behind and be happy. Other people, it doesn't prepare you for a whole lot else. That's the problem.
So that's interesting too, because how often do you get recognized? Because I wonder if she's leading the dentist's wife life. How often do people come up to her and be like, "Oh my God, I know who you are"?
Mom mode, I get back when I was until I was about 40. I got recognized 2 or 3 times a week easily, and they're so polite. It was really funny with a bunch of younger people, and one will come up to me and go, "Excuse me, are you Nina?" And I'll go, "Yeah." And they'll go, I told you. Because they're all standing there and they're all laughing and giggling. Or they say, "Love your work." Or, "Do I know you?" They're very, very, very polite about it. No one ever, they don't want to, if I'm not Nina, they don't want to humiliate themselves in public or insult me. And they're really, my fans are very, very polite people.
Does anybody ever come up and say, "Oh, you're Nina Hartley, that's fantastic. You want to go have sex?"
I can tell they're thinking that. And honestly, if I could do instantly, if I could take, for me, in my kink, if I could just take you into that room over there and give you a hand job and send you on your way, I would do that because I think that's fun. But intercourse,
that sounds so good.
Intercourse is just like, it's risky, intercourse, And so for me, but then, all these guys, they think they're that guy. But often, I wish women were more forthcoming. I wish women wouldn't be so standoffish. And so I'll say, "Okay, yeah, how about a hand job? Meet you there in the closet." And so
that's awesome.
Because
when I was single, if you had made me that offer, here's what would have happened.
It would have gone through. Yay.
I would have been the guy who accepted.
Yay. So that is. It's same thing at clubs. I could have picked up all those guys at clubs, but so between the first set and the second set at around 10:30, man, if we could just snap fingers and be in my room, it'd be the best half hour of your life. And snap my fingers and be back here. But at 2:30 after 3 sets, I don't want to go to bed. Is anybody new? I want to be done with sex by 11. I don't want to start at 2 with a stranger. Oh my God! So I actually never picked anybody up on the road like 3 times because it's just the logistics of the time. Again, at 2 o'clock in the morning, I've been in the club for 6 hours. My ears are ringing. The stink of cigarette smoke. My feet hurt. Who are you again?
Yeah.
The moment was hot at 10:30.
Right.
But at 2:30, not so much.
So how about women? Do women ever come up to you and be like, "Come on, let's get out of here"?
No.
Never.
No.
Okay. If a woman wanted to seduce you and a man wanted to seduce you, who would you more likely?
But it's not seducing. Seducing is trying to get to yes. I'm already saying yes. The question is the logistics.
Uh-huh.
And so.
But I mean, it's got to depend. I mean, you can't be into every woman and every man.
Yes and no. Everything being equal for hygiene and reasonable intelligence and manners. I mean, obviously, not being drunk or stoned or anything like that. Someone like such as yourself. Because I am not looking for love, I can enjoy myself with people in a wide variety of ages and body types. So I've been with people that are probably clinically obese. One of my most fun times, he was 92. He's a wonderful fan of 92.
No, I'm telling you, you're like the greatest person that ever lived.
And if everyone could enjoy sex like Carl, Lord bless him, he's wonderful. I would be with him again in a heartbeat because he was just so enthusiastic.
Does he still have one?
He does. He's 94 now. He was 90 then. He was 93 now. He lives in Maine. And
so wait a minute. I got to delve into that. So, guy's 92. How do you wind up? What did you give? You gave him a hand job?
No, he spent the night with me. I spent the night with him. So he way back in the Wayback Machine. I used to dance at a club in Stoughton, Massachusetts called Alex's Supper Club, which is a nice little bar about a half hour south of Boston. And I'm dancing. And into the room comes his old couple, Carl and Mary. And she has her London Fog trench coat on and her little crown braid, and he's got the trucker hat, and he's the retirees. They're already in their 80s at the time. She's in her 70s, he's in his 80s. And they sit and watch the show, and I end up having dinner. So like 3 or 4 trips to Boston over the next couple of years, and they come down to see me every time. They make a weekend of it, and I had dinner with her on her birthday and gave her roses. It was a lovely couple. And then he would call up and say, Mother and me got one of your movies on. He called her Mother, get that Maine
that's
thing.
A little
and
weird. Okay.
but no, that's very Maine. It's very very up country. And he would say, she got on her red baby doll, and so they had an enthusiastic sexual life up until she died of cancer. And so when I saw him at 90, he'd been a widower for 2 years. So I went to New Hampshire to speak at university. He drove down from Maine to meet me in New Hampshire and spend the night in my hotel room. And
well, was that assumed, or did he finally say, hey, you know what?
Oh no, I invited him. Absolutely. Oh yes.
So what? Why? Like you wanted to? Did you want to have sex with him that night as a favor to him, or because you desired it?
When I have sex with people other than my husband and a couple very close friends, I am there for them. I'm that way. I'm serving the greater good. So going back to the 70s, the whole idea of the sacred feminine, and when God was a woman, and the idea of the sacred prostitute and temple priestesses who would be the conduit. Coming home from war, the guy would stop off at the temple and have whatever experience he had with the priestess to purge him of the death energy so he can go home to his wife and family and go farming again. So this idea as the physical body as an intermediary for energy and spirit, if you want to call it that, I totally got. And so for me, I'm interested in anybody sexually, at least once, because that's just me. Call me, I'm a gay man trapped in a woman's body, but just, oh cool, hey, cool. I like naked people. And I don't, and because I know that your physiognomy doesn't necessarily define who you are. So guys go, I'm not 6 foot, I don't got 10 inches. I don't want 10 inches. I don't want, stop with the needing 10 inches. I don't want to go all night. I don't need that.
I love that assumption. Like,
oh, no,
you're going to need 10 inches. I don't have it, but I can get it for you.
Because they believe the porn too much. And also, and that's my persona on camera. And at home, I have sex for other reasons. So for sex and love and romance, I have my husband. And everything else is, I'm interested. I'm just interested. And so I knew, as a nurse, that he had not had intimacy for 2 years, hadn't hugged anybody in that way, been naked with anybody. And he and I we talk dirty. He plays with himself. He's just a big old freak. He looks like a nice little old grandpa. He's, in his mind, he's a mad swinger, freaky guy. He's so sweet.
That's
he's
terrific.
a darling. And so he brought along a little bottle of wine, and we got naked and just had a whole lot of fun. It was just so sweet. He's so sweet about it. And no, of course, he could not have intercourse, and he could not have an orgasm because of his blood pressure medications. And his erection came and go. But that, again, when we think of sex as only penis and vagina intercourse, otherwise known as PIV intercourse, it's so limiting.
Right.
Sex is, let's get naked and have a good time. And
I'm right there with you.
And hopefully, and we have orgasms, yay. And I don't have to have orgasm every time I have sex. I can have sex for days in a row and not have an orgasm and have.
I wouldn't go that route, but
no. But you're a dude. It's different. It's different for dudes.
Yeah.
It's different for dudes.
So let me ask you something. If I was single and I said at the end of this interview, hey, Nina, look, I grew up, etc. It's 10:30. You want to go? Would you like?
If I was single as well, absolutely, because I like meeting people that way. In real life, I got to go home and cook my husband supper. So that's the problem. I am available, but not freely, meaning that. That's why I'm glad I'm a swinger. I'm partnering with a new swinger adventure called randomscrew.com. They'll be hosting parties in the LA area, probably starting in spring, regular swing parties.
So you go to those swing parties?
And I'll be the hostess, so I will be there. So if you buy a ticket to the swing party, I will be at the swing party. And so if I'm in a situation where sex is happening, anyone can come up to me and say, hey, you want to do something? And then we have to decide what it is. If you want to have intercourse with me, maybe yes, maybe no. You want to hug and touch and fondle? Absolutely. You want a hand job? Sure. You want me to help you fuck your wife? No problem. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to use that word.
No, you can use it anywhere you want.
So in my mind, yes, I'm ready to be sexual anytime. In reality, logistics get in the way. It's either a public place, I'm away somewhere, person's married, not actually available for that kind of thing. 'Cause what I don't do is help people break their promises to their partner.
Right. So
that's not okay.
You said you were married. So does he is he cool with?
He couldn't be married. When I left my first husband, I was sure I was going to be single until I was dead, and have lovers and cats, because there was no way I was going to find a man who was, I won't say man enough, but I was not going to find a heterosexual man who wasn't also jealous and possessive. Because in this culture, it's very hard to find men like that, because they're taught to be jealous and possessive. And I just, no, I don't own it, you don't own it.
Right.
And so I've known my partner since 1989, and I got with him in 2000. And I lucked out in finding a guy who, for the first time, I want to make love with the same guy over and over and over again. That is so weird for me. It's never been my pattern. It's like 4 times a year forever,
right.
3 times in a weekend, good, done, once a year. And so, so we played with others together, usually women, and I make sure that he has women friends come over to play with him while I'm gone out of town, because.
Okay, I rest my case. Greatest person that ever lived the grace this earth.
No, we didn't know.
It's over. I'm calling it right now. I'm pounding the gavel.
If I'm in town, I will help him set up the play space. I will leave him alone. Come back in 3.5 hours. She has to clean up. I'll cook dinner, and we all sit around and have dinner, and then she leaves.
Okay,
works for me.
Okay, hold up. Now, so you're out of town. Not only do you allow him to have sex with other people, you help him set up the.
Oh yeah.
Okay, like what? Like you call hey, Sally, I'm out of town. Can you come fuck my husband?
I do the emails hey, I'm out of town here and here. Is anytime during that period where you're free to come over? And they want what he has to offer as well. So it's not like they're not doing me a favor. They're doing themselves a favor, because they get to be. I do all the husband.
How good is your husband that they're doing themselves a favor by coming over?
If you like the kind of sex he offers, he's the best there is.
Well, why? What's the kind of sex he offers?
Well, we're into BDSM. He's dominant, and he's really good. No.
Okay, so now that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so it makes more sense than that.
It's not just kiss, kiss, hug, hug, rub, fall asleep.
So if you're into that thing,
he's the guy.
Right, and
if you're into that thing with a man being the driver,
Right.
and you're a chick, he's your guy.
Okay, so how did you get into that thing? Like, did you know you were into domination and stuff?
No, I didn't. I knew I was into all things sexual. I'm interested. No kids, no poop, no blood, no dead, no animals. Okay, the big five.
Okay, fair enough.
The usual five.
Okay,
you know,
right.
you know.
Oh, of course.
Other than that, I'm interested in anything once. You know, so it wasn't, and I didn't know anything about BDSM because I grew up in Berkeley in the 70s, and the thing was then, for me, why would any woman put on a collar and call herself a slave? What? I don't get it. I didn't get it. And then I met someone who is that guy, and he only ever plays if he gets to be the driver, and he likes women. He doesn't like dudes. He does not switch. He likes to be the driver. Okay, but I really liked him. He was interesting. He was age appropriate. I just liked him right away. If I knew then what I know now, I would have gone home to my exes that very day and said, 60 days good for you. You know, if I knew then what I know now.
Is that the guy you wound up marrying?
That's the guy I'm married to now. And so his sexuality is, he is into BDSM, and that's the only kind of sex he's into. He's not into it. He doesn't like any other kind of sex. So I wanted him as a lover, and so I had to learn his love language. And it turns out, damn, it's wow, okay.
Okay, so, I mean, look at, you know, I love these conversations because look at what you can set up in the world. Like, if you say, hey, you know what, I'm going to be dominant, and I'm going to have different women come and have sex with me because it's going to be a pleasure and an honor for them, it happens, right? It's amazing. Like, most people don't think to ask for that. Right?
Most people don't think that they get to create the sexuality that works for them because they have to find the one, get married, have kids, and then the joke about the ball and chain. You know, why does the bride smile on her wedding day? Because she's given the last blowjob she ever needs to. That whole horrible thing that sex is something I use to get you to propose, and then once I have you, I don't have to give you sex anymore, but you can't get anywhere else because then you're being a dick. Sorry, a jerk.
It's okay. It's okay.
And so I never understood that paradigm. And think even as a monogamous person, I wouldn't understand that paradigm because it just doesn't make sense to me. And so he was someone who does not lie about sex, and I really appreciate that. And he was the first person who could talk to me about BDSM and how I, as a feminist, could square the way I was raised. I wasn't supposed to like that kind of sex, but I did.
Right.
But so I was raised to trust your body, trust your body. So my body's going, this is really compelling and very arousing, and my mind's going, danger, danger, warning, warning. So so what a woman wants in the bedroom is what she wants in the bedroom. It's not who she is outside the bedroom. So
yeah, I believe in those boundaries 100%.
Right, but a lot of people don't. So I am not a submissive. I am his submissive. I'm not a love slave. I'm his love slave. So for me, it was a very particular person thing. So I'm not generally with partners, I am co-equal or a little bit pushy. Meaning, so I like vanilla sex. I have a regular vanilla partner that I've known from high school who's just a regular guy, nothing fancy, just hugging and kissing and wrestling and easy stuff. No.
So how often do you have sex with him?
If I could see him once a month, I would, but scheduling, I see him about 4 times a year, even though he lives in LA. It's terrible. I would see him much more often if I could.
And your husband's okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because my husband doesn't do vanilla sex. And so if I want regular sex, I have to get it somewhere else.
So every time your husband has sex with you, he puts a chain on you, or no?
Oh, our sex is always role specific. Yes. And people say, "Oh my gosh, you do the same thing every time." It's like, yeah, we hug and we kiss and we get busy. It's just a little more formal. But
so you got to follow his rules, and he gives you orders. And
yeah, but
are you ever a nurse or a secretary or something?
No, he doesn't do that kind of role playing. No. It's really more. All he has to do is be the driver. He doesn't. I don't have to call him funny names. I don't have. I don't. But we do. Do
you have a safe word like cactus or dragon or something?
He's never. Yeah, our safe word is Alice. Please stop. We don't.
But isn't that supposed to be like part of the fun? Like, oh no, please stop.
Only if that's the game that you play.
Okay.
So he's not an edge player. So he's not into pushing a person until they feel unsafe emotionally or physically.
Yeah, I'm not an edge player.
No, he doesn't. Right. Now, he doesn't mind, and we don't mind partners who like to play hard, who like to be pushed. We had one partner the other day who said, I like to cry. But she said, before we got into it, we're sitting around talking about things, she said, she offered, I like to cry. Okay, so that was one of the things we engineered during our time together, was a situation where she could cry, because she looks beautiful crying, and she loves the release, and she's very theatrical, and she loved it. I don't need to make somebody cry.
Right.
I'm only sadistic as my partner's masochistic.
Yeah, no, I love this honest conversation about sex, and I remember once I saw an interview with a guy, 65-year-old, and got into porn, and it's
Dave Cummings?
Maybe it was.
Only one. He was great, awesome. He was a Navy retired Air Force. I want to say colonel, and he got in the business. He was in it 10 years, and he never used Viagra. He was just awesome. He played
He said, look, it turns out not only can I have sex with younger women, but I can make money off of it. And I was like, Mike, that's the smartest guy in the country, who was like, hey, wait a minute.
Why
You're
not?
going to pay me to have sex with a young woman. It's crazy. All right, so how much has porn changed throughout the years, from 1984 to today?
The two biggest changes are how big it's gotten, and of course the internet and the digitization. So it used to be a much smaller community, and you knew everybody, and you worked with the same people over and over and over and over again, but it was a small number of people. Then in the mid-'80s to the mid-'90s, they really tried to Main Street it. And so it stopped being special, but it really changed most dramatically in 91, 92 with the internet, when you stopped having to leave your house, go to a store, show your ID, look at the material, take it home, and watch it there. So now it's become like wallpaper. And it's a mixed bag. For me, the internet's a very mixed bag. Half of me wants to uninvent it because of the impact it's had on creative employment, and not just adult entertainment, but writers and art directors and researchers and things of that nature. Librarians, I mean, they're going out of business because the internet does a lot of the searches for them.
They should let their hair down and have sex with you.
But the fact that it's ubiquitous, you can see anything, stops making people do this. And so now it's like, what do I want to look at? I do get concerned over people running across images that are completely devoid of any context. But it's always been important that parents talk to their kids about sex and sexuality and impart their values, because by the time the kid is old enough at 9 or 10 to go on the internet by themselves, whether or not you want them to, they should know what the parents value. They should know what our family believes to be so.
So I want to understand what it is that troubles you. Like, so for example, when you say out of context, yeah, I mean, to me, that's why I love, okay, separate note, like, that's why I love 1980s porn, because there was a story, it was a movie, like, okay.
Stupid and silly, but there was a story, yeah.
No, it wasn't, some of it wasn't even that bad, but like, it gave you a thing, like, okay, well, that's his secretary, and then, oh my God, his wife walked in, but then she's into it, and that was kind of fun, and all that. Right.
Yeah.
And now it's like wall to wall, bang, 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 right? And I'm like, what's what, right?
Well, first, the way most porn is, much porn is today, and porn is so big. I mean, on the one end, again, we have Abby Winters, which is mere nude girls cavorting in fields and streams in Australia. Not shaven, no boob jobs, no tattoos, just natural girls, all the way to, whoa, really? Never thought about that.
All the way to the Germans.
Thank you. Yes, all the way to the Germans.
I'm not wrong, right? The Germans are much dirtier.
The Germans do hardcore BDSM. It's much harsher. For me, BDSM, if it's not about mutual pleasure and sex, what's it about? So it's never good kinky sex. It's never violence for violence's sake. It's a dance. Like an apache. If you go on the internet and do a search for apache dancing, Bella Apache, apache, it is like a super duper tango. So really good kink sex is like a tango. It's like a paso dobles.
You lost me on all that, but I hear you.
Yeah.
I joke around about the Germans, German porn all the time on the show, right? But so even legendary porn star into BDSM, the Germans are too much.
The Germans are too much because it's, in my experience, it is merely just harsh, which fits in with the German culture and how they raise their children in terms of making them good citizens. So I get it, but it doesn't move me. I'm like, It's
funny, the first porn I ever watched was German, and it wasn't like the fisting or anything like that. It was just, but even then, the first line I ever learned was, and I say it on the show from time to time, yeah, schlupen das ist Vitamin.
I love it.
Okay, and it's because a guy was like kind of, with the girl, and she's like, she wasn't sure, but he's like, schlupen das ist Vitamin, God, the Germans. Anyway, so but you were saying about context.
Context, well, if there's one thing when you're younger, and my husband doesn't agree with me on this. He said, this whole idea of a mythical, magical, innocent childhood. Back in the day, kids on the street saw people hanging from garrets. They saw people starving in the streets. They, kids, young people have always, kids in India today see, beggars. 5,000 people a night die of starvation in Calcutta. So, kids these days see all kinds of things. So the idea of the precious, protected American or Western culture, childhood, no sex. But kids think about, and not sex, but stuff. But so I'm young, and I see, it's one thing to look at a Playboy magazine and see the words and the pictures of pretty girls and things, and then another thing to go click, oh my God, what's fish hooking? Or people shooting large objects out of their anus. Like, what is that? And so if I can't go to my parents and go, what is this? And at least get their point of view, which may be horrified or mouth out with soap, I don't know. So then you start thinking to kids, what is sex? What's it for? And
so you're worried it's going to warp them?
Not more than they're warped already. I would like to see better sex education, age-appropriate sex education in this culture, so that when they do come across an image that is devoid of any context, they can at least go, oh, okay, that's just porn. It's not meant to be real, because when you're young, you don't know what's real and what's make-believe. And so what I would tell any parent to tell a young person is, just think of porn as live-action cartoons. Yes, the bodies are real, and it is real intercourse, but why it's happening, how it's happening is a cartoon. It's completely made up. It's not how it works in real life.
I know, but even as a kid, and not kid, but like teenager, watching your movies, and I'd walk in and I'd be like, is there a chance? Like, I'd be like, is there a chance it could go down like that? Like at the mall?
Right. Rarely.
Right.
But the more we are able to talk with our partners about our true desires and not be, we have to learn to talk about our desires without embarrassment, and we have to learn how to hear our partner's desires without judgment. And again, if you're not telling me a desire in order to poke me, and I get upset, then my job as an adult is to, wow, why is that upsetting? I'll get back to you on that. It may take a few days. Sometimes it would take me days to understand why I had such a strong reaction to that. It's like, wow, I don't think it's wrong, but still, it just hit me in the gut. What's that? So instead of saying, you stop that, I instead go, let me go figure out what's that. And I can come back and say, you know what, I'm fine with it to hear, but here, not so good. Right. Now that I've had a chance to reflect upon it, I see what was upsetting to me. If you can address the part that's upsetting, we could probably come to negotiation. But people don't want to negotiate about sex, because when people are wounded around their sexuality, it's often at a very young age. And so then we grow up with, if you loved me, you'd be okay with everything. And so if I refuse you, for whatever my reasons are, instead of being the adult person going, okay, maybe I didn't say it right, maybe, how can I help you understand what it is I need? All of a sudden you're back to being 8, and it's like, you're all butthurt over it. And so now we have 2 8-year-olds in the bodies of 40-year-olds having a fight over what you want, what I don't want to do, instead of, whoa, wow, I didn't know I had that issue. Thanks for showing it to me.
Yeah, that's not just open-minded, it's also smart, and you need to have smart conversations around this. One more thing about porn in the 2 different eras. Was it harder, like back then, to convince women to get into porn, etc.? I don't know if they had to be convinced.
It's not. That's the biggest difference from porn from then to now. Thank you for bringing that up. Is back then, before it was everywhere, to even be in a situation where you even knew that it could be made you a different kind of woman. More adventuresome, a little more sexually open than the average bear. Just to know that this existed, and then yeah, sure. Oh yeah, sounds like fun. Yeah, already made you different. Now, porn's been legal for 40 years, and porn's been on the internet for 20 solid years. So now, if you're 18, you don't know a world without internet porn. And so once in the mid-90s. Mid-late 90s, we started getting women who came into porn a week after the 18th birthday, already knowing some incredible tricks because they'd seen them in a video and had practiced them at home. It's like, darling, you're 19. You might want to save the baseball bat for your second year.
Yeah,
Just
so
a thought.
Many
more women are open to being in it, which is, but it's not a McJob. Of all the other silly, you can be a stripper and then quit and go to school and have a regular life. You can even be a hooker and quit and have a regular life. But porn's forever because it's pictures.
Right.
And when you're 19, 20, it's hard. Forever means 30. It doesn't mean forever. Forever. And so I wish it was harder to get into. I mean, I wish there was some kind of bar to entry that you had to take a test, aptitude test. Because,
like an LSATs for porn?
Well, just do you know this is forever? Do you know what forever means? Do you know that the one person you do not want to see that movie is going to see that movie? Do you know this? It's going to happen.
And what's your sense? They don't know it, do they?
They don't know because at 19 you're invincible.
Right.
The world's fantastic, and you're still young and hot and pretty. And so I tell them, if they ask my opinion, porn's forever. I'm here forever because I knew I was a lifer. This is my life work. So I have no kids. And so I knew that I cannot run for politics, I cannot work with children. There's lots of things I cannot do. I will not ever be able to do because of this history. And I was 25 when I started. I wanted in at 18, but I was 25 before I did it. So I had education, I had options. And I still knew, you know what, this is what I want to do. And so I tell them, is there any other way you could figure out what it is you want from porn? And is there any other way to get it? Could you be a stripper? Could you be a massage girl? Could you be a streaming video girl, which you get to work alone at home safely, but another person and you bumping uglies, as the saying goes, is a forever. With a camera, it's forever.
So how much regret do you see in people later? Because I always think about their wedding night. I don't know, it's like a downer thing to think about, but I think on their wedding night, probably at least half the people at their wedding have seen them having sex.
I don't. A lot of people in adult aren't in a relationship, and you'd be surprised actually how many maintain a monogamous lifestyle off camera. For them, this is work, no emotions. I'm not in love with these people, and this is my relationship. And you'd be surprised how many want a conventional home life. They're not wild and crazy people off camera. They're not swingers off camera. Fewer than 20% of porn performers are live sexually alternative lives off camera.
No, I get that, but if it's the 19-year-old that came in, you tried to talk her out of it. You couldn't talk her out of it, as in a hypothetical, right?
And you can't because hey, they you're invincible and you're never going to get.
And so then she does porn for a year and a half. Next thing you know, she's 30. She's getting married, and her husband's uncle is seeing it, et cetera, et cetera.
Hopefully by then she will have come to terms with it. Again, not everybody is as educated as I was before they start, and so they might not know how to think about it. And you'd be surprised at how many people in porn still have pretty conventional ideas about sex. It's just, some of them are here because party! Others are here because, F you, mom, dad, preach, your first boyfriend, whatever, who told me that thing about myself that I can't,
Right.
A couple of people I've known over the years are former fat girls and who are just amazed they can make a living with their body. That their body's considered pretty enough.
I didn't know that either.
So a couple, who
Right.
they were heavy and now they're not, and it's like, wow. So everyone has a different response to it. Very few lives have been ruined by porn, but it does limit your options for later.
Right.
It just does.
So last couple of things. How much does it pay?
Well, the rate depends on what you're going to do. So if I'm Susie, brand new, who the hell are you? And they want me to do a glory hole BJ for an hour, that's going to be $300. But if you
But if
you want Nina Hartley for the glory hole 30-minute blowjob, it's going to be $500 because you get the Nina Hartley upcharge. Girl without
That's gotta be cheap.
girl toys is 7 to 8. Girl.
Oh, really? That's more expensive.
Girl, yeah. But then we add another person, yeah. And then a girl with anal is going to be a couple hundred more. Then there's straight boy which is no anal. That's going to be, depending on the person, between 8 and 12. And then there's boy-girl anal.
Wait. Straight boy-girl, like man, woman have sex.
Man, woman, oral and vaginal. No butts.
And that's 800 to 1,200.
Depending on how.
Why is that more than all the other stuff?
Because it's a boy. That's real sex.
Oh, so real sex costs more.
Real sex, meaning boy-girl sex is real.
Okay.
Girl-girl sex is less real.
So that pays less. But the blowjob pays even less than that.
Because it's just a blowjob. You're not using any other part of your body.
That's so
I'm not saying it's logical.
No, I mean,
but also what the market will bear. So the high-end performers easily charge 2 to 3 times more for the same thing than the lower-end performers. But why are they high-end performers? They have a following. They are amazing. They're buff and in good shape. They show up on time. They're enthusiastic. They're smart. They know their lines. They're professional. They give great scene. They really just sell it to the rafters, and you are getting your money's worth for it.
So I think I stopped you before you got to anal. So what's the like after the straight boy-girl sex? What was the rest of
the anal surcharge, depending on who you're talking to, is anywhere from $300 to $800 more.
$300 to $800 more.
Yeah.
So by the time you get up there,
the top of the line female performer can charge $2,000 for an anal scene.
Again, it's not that much. And if you're a new performer, how much?
Well, if you're new, it depends. It depends on.
For the top of the like anal guy, girl, whatever.
Well, if I'm new, I don't have if I'm new and have no following, depends on how pretty I am.
Okay.
By conventional culture standards.
Right.
So the prettier I am by conventional culture standards, the more I can charge. Because the less I look like a girl who would do that, the more I can charge for doing that.
So if top of the line is performers get $2,000, are the younger ones getting $1,000, $500?
It depends. The smart ones have agents, and the agents do most of the negotiating. So I tell my agent, this is what I charge for anal. And if they don't want to pay it, fine. I'm totally fine with them not paying it. I don't need to do anal that badly. But so some people price themselves highly in that area because they don't do it very often. And
but you don't mind it, right?
It's not my favorite on camera. Because I enjoy it in my private life because my husband really knows what he's doing, and we don't have to worry about cameras. We take our time. If people say, "Oh, I'd love to be on a set," if you're on a set, you will no longer want to watch porn because when you see the sausage being made, you don't want to eat sausage anymore. When you realize how unsexy it is to be on a set,
right? That makes sense.
And people go, "Oh, well, I'll do this job for free." It's like, no, you won't do this job for free.
So, is other than BDSM, then is your favorite like? Lesbian, and
but on camera BDSM, I'm always the driver.
Right,
I don't submit on camera.
But I'm talking about off camera. Do you like seducing women?
My favorite thing off camera, besides being alone with my husband, is being alone with him and another woman. When he and I get to be co-dominant together, and she is submissive to us, because I'm what they call a switch. I like, if you're a good driver, I'll let you drive. But I don't need to have the man drive. Some women, no matter who they're with, they prefer to have the man drive.
So I heard a rumor that you were hitting on Anna earlier. Is that true or untrue? My co-host, Anna Casper. Last time you were here.
But I was admiring her beauty. I was not hitting on it. But again, when I'm with civilians, I try to tone it down because what for me is light joking for them could be sexual harassment.
No, she was flattered.
I like ladies and.
So have you ever done that? Like, you're at a McDonald's or you're at an...
I've never picked a stranger up in public because it doesn't go down the way it does in movies. It never does. They either get horrified.
I picked up a girl at Taco Bell.
But you're a dude and she's a chick and that's what dudes do. But, so no, in my...
But you should. That would be fun, wouldn't it? Like you seduce some girl at the Ralph's or something?
It's freaking work, dude. You gotta, then you gotta talk
I hear
to
you on that, sister.
That's why I like porn and swinging. By being here, what I like about porn and swinging is just by being at the party, you've given me permission to come up and talk to you directly about sex without having to say, so, come here often, so, what do you do, so. I
know, but isn't it, that's a pain in the ass and I hear you, right? But there's also something fun about that seduction.
Not for me.
Not for you.
And that's why I really sucked at dating, because I didn't understand that you can't just be that blunt, because like guys are like, they're off-put and women are insulted. It's like, I'm just saying, I think you're hot, and I'd like to get you off.
Am I speaking Greek?
Apparently, that's not a good opening line.
Okay, well, I think it's an awesome opening line.
Apparently, you have to do other speaking things before you. But what blows my mind is that what gets me to come across the room to say hello to you is the fact that I think you're hot. I'd like to get you off, and so to have to do this dance. So, hi. Obviously, I have to say, my name's Nina. What's your name? I couldn't help but see you across the room. I think you're really hot. You want to go over and get busy? What? I just met you. So for me, conventional societal norms about dating never made sense to me.
Yeah, I
because
hear you
I'm not
on
a
that.
monogamous person. I'm not looking for the one. I'm not looking to date. I just want to. For me, if we have a fun time together once, then I would like to get to know you better. But if our bodies don't fit and the back of the brain stuff doesn't work, then no matter how much I like you, that part's never going to work.
Right, that makes sense.
That's just me.
So last thing, look, you were in Boogie Nights, with Mark Wahlberg, etc. Right? So are there any famous people you've slept with? Mark Wahlberg, I don't know.
You know what? I went to the set thinking, you know what? If Mark Wahlberg does hit on me, I'll totally say yes. But he was interested in transitioning out of being Marky Mark and into being the Catholic boy he is today. So he had a handler with him at all times. So I was never actually alone. I met him one day. I was on set with him. We overlapped one day, and he was a perfect gentleman. Macy is a perfect gentleman, and he was actually during this. If I remember correctly, at one point during the shoot, Felicity Huffman came out of his trailer with her new engagement ring on. So apparently, if I remember correctly, I could be totally off on this, I have to ask them, but I seem to remember that he proposed to her during the shoot. So Millie Macy is the world's nicest, most decent, ethical man. So have I anybody famous? I did do Richard Jeni, the comedian.
Oh, okay.
And he was a lovely, passionate, tortured Catholic, full of guilt over his desires and very hot and cold. That's why I don't like religion. It just messes people up around sex in a bad way. There was a Detroit Pistons basketball player whose nickname was the Microwave, and that was like 26 years ago.
Oh, Vinny, not Vinny Del Negro, the Microwave. Damn it, do you guys remember?
Anyway, that was once at a swing situation, and
It was Vinny something.
Vinny, that's a weird name for he was an African American.
Yeah, he was black. He's black.
Vinny's
yeah.
a weird name for African American.
I know.
The Microwave, that was his nickname, and that was I'm going to say 93, maybe 92.
Yeah, that was when the Pistons
90,
were awesome. And
yeah,
he was with Isaiah Thomas and Bill
that was when they were
Laimbeer.
all that.
Right.
And then a few others who you'll have to ask. You have to ask that. But I'm not a celebrity. I'm not a star fucker because
Literally, right.
Literally, if a famous person approaches me and wants to try to do something like that, I'll certainly. For example, years ago, this is a problem by being straight up about it. Years ago, at the awards in Vegas, I ran into this famous musician, Grammys, and I was a huge fan of his. He was a huge fan of mine. He's big name, just very. You know who I am?
Right.
Really? You know who I am? I'm gonna hit some tight.
Okay, Kenny Rogers.
So whatever. And we got to talking, and we had a lovely time. So we got back to California, and I knew I'm a swinger, and 3 for 3. I'm a swinger, and if you're a famous person, and you say, Nina, next Thursday, would you care to come over to my place and get to know each other better? Sure. But 3 out of 3 times, this guy only did his freaky stuff when he was home, he got high. And the third time, he called at 10:30 that night and wants me to come over right now. It's like, dude, then you have to pay me. I'm not gonna go. So
Right.
treat me like a friend and plan for next Thursday.
Right.
But I'm not an afterthought while you're high on whatever it is you do to
Right.
get you in your sexy mood, and then call me up and order me like a pizza. So that never came down. And after the third time, I said, I'm with my husband eating dinner.
Yeah.
He stopped calling. It's like, again, that's why the guilt comes in, because of whatever reason that is, they can't sober say, wow, hey, let's make a date.
Right.
And it's like, and so that's why I just stick to my own kind of swingers and kinky people. Because one thing about being with BDSM people or swingers, the topic can be sex,
right.
and the topic can be there is sex as an idea, a philosophy, and then there's the potential maybe for sex between us. But then, what's your philosophy about sex out there? And if we have similar philosophies, then we might be able to talk about, that's a Venn diagram. So I like these things, and my potential partner likes these things. So is there any overlap between the Venn diagram?
Okay, super last question. How many people do you think you've had sex with in your life?
People ask that all the time, and I am sorry now, I'm not a journal keeper. I'm sorry I just didn't say, Thursday, New York City, just a fax, ma'am.
No, of course.
No.
I mean, I kept
ballpark?
notes. I know
ballpark?
the exact number because it was so low.
I'd say between 12 and 1800, I guess.
Okay.
Not that now. If you include hand jobs and if you're talking full-on intercourse, that's going to be a lot lower because in porn, same people over and over again. I did Ron Jeremy a dozen times, so
Right.
But if you're talking about sexual situations where I got my hands to people's bits, well over 1,000. Oh, sure,
Right.
sure. I've been doing this I started dancing in '82.
Right.
I've been doing this March will be my 29th
Yeah.
anniversary, so I've been doing this a long time.
Now, this is
I
one
still like going to work.
No, I love that, man. This was one of my favorite interviews of all time for so many different reasons. I love your attitude about life, sex, your work, etc. Thank you so much for coming on, everybody. It's the book is Guide to Total Sex. The website, which is not safe for work.
Not at all safe for work. This is safe for work. There's no pictures.
Right, that's safe for work, but the website, which is not safe for work, is nina.com.
But
you'll be in Vegas at the end of the week, or next week.
And if people want something safe for work, if you go to to YouTube and do a search for Tuesdays with Nina, a sex ed video talking series that was on one pay site has now migrated to the interwebs, and it's just me talking head.
Okay.
So no nudity, very little swearing. They're 5 to 7 minutes long. Tuesdays with Nina, like 100 of them, and each one talk about a different question.
So Nina Hartley gives talking head.
Right.
Okay,
and those are safe for work.
All right, that's terrific. And Vegas for the Adult Video Awards next week, and at the end of January,
going to
hedonism.
Jamaica, hedonism, Hedo Kama Sutra in Jamaica. Crazy. I've never been to Jamaica.
Right.
So I get to bust another cherry.
Okay. All right, Nina, fortunately...
I gotta go. You gotta go.
No, and unfortunately, in my case, this is the only hand job we're going to do. So thank you.
No worries. Thank you so much.